Hey, I think we'll go ahead and get started, and if we have a few more people join, then that's all right too. Oh, one more person here. Okay, so I'll just get things started. My name is Danielle Driscoll, and I am the Assistant Director of Alumni Relations here at PSU. I just want to welcome everyone. We have an excellent group signed up for tonight, so we are very excited. My boss and our director, John Bartlow, is also on the line with us. We both are actually communication grads 2 times over. So, you know, we're over here in the alumni office rocking it thanks to the communication department. Right, John?
Woo! Good to see everybody. What a great turnout.
Yeah, as you know, we are going to talk about some communication department updates tonight, and we're lucky to have Dr. Troy Comeau and Dr. Megan Westhoff with us tonight. Troy is the program coordinator, director of media production, and a professor, and Megan is a director of theater and an instructor. We're lucky that they both wanted to jump on here tonight and visit with you all. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Troy.
Thank you, Danielle. And thank you all for coming out tonight. You know my competitiveness, so I asked Danielle, I said, were we the biggest one? Well, I'm really happy that everybody got to come on tonight. So I wanted to give an update on what's happening in our department for many of our alumni. I'm sure that that's, you know, on your mind is what's going on in the communication department since you've left us and gone on to bigger and better things. So I wanted to start off by saying a lot has happened the last couple of years. As many of you may or may not know, the biggest change, I guess, is Dr. Joey Pogue and Dr. Cynthia Allen retired in May. So for those of you that were old enough to know Dr. Pete Hamilton, who was actually the department chair before, and I see Tom shaking his head, Tom Watts knows that. So Dr. Pete Hamilton was the chair of our department before Cynthia. And when Dr. Hamilton retired, he graciously kind of donated this little, if you know Dr. Hamilton, he was Scottish. So he graciously donated his shield, the Scottish shield, I guess, or something, for our department. So we've got this hanging up in our conference room. So the first thing I told Cynthia when she retired, many of you know Dr. Allen, I said, I want something from you to be able to hang up in our conference room. So Dr. Hamilton's is here. And this is what I got from Dr. Allen. And I don't know if you can read this, but it basically says an effort was made. And it has a rock. Because apparently when she looked up her shield for like a Scottish shield or something, she was looking up the shield for her name and it came up rock. So she basically put the little rock in there and she said that was a rock for the department and she said an effort was made. So I thought that was pretty funny. So these are now hanging up in the conference room alongside everything else. So yeah, we've lost Dr. Pogue, we've lost Dr. Allen, but we were happy to be able to hire a new faculty this year. And her name is Jillian Moga. She's basically teaching the classes that Dr. Pogue would teach. And just for everybody, I was going to share this screen real quick and kind of show you. Sure. So here's kind of the way the department stands now. For those of you that have left us and may not know everybody, we've still got Dr. Mark Arbuckle. Just an update on him. He is planning on retiring this year. So he's made that announcement. So we're losing Dr. Arbuckle as well in May. You still see myself and Gil. We've been here quite a while now. And then we've got Barth Cox. He's now teaching in the media production area. What Leo Hudson was there before, and Trent Kling, for those of you that can remember back that far. And Shirley Drew, everybody's probably on here that's been in the comm department. Dr. Shirley Drew is still here, and she keeps threatening that she's going to retire, and I keep telling her, no, don't leave me. So she's still here. Christy Geyer, of course, our administrative specialist. Lyndon Little, Kristen Livingston. Everybody, if you've been here recently, you know Kristen. She actually won the Outstanding Teacher of the Year award just recently, so we're pretty proud of Kristen there as well. And Dr. Alicia Mason. Jillian Moog is our new professor. She's supposed to have her PhD hopefully by May, so we can put a doctor in front of her name as well. And Lisa's still working in theater, and of course, Dr. Westhoff, who you'll hear from in just a little bit. So that's kind of what we look like faculty-wise. One of the other things that has changed recently is and can you guys see that okay? The emphasis areas, yeah. So our emphasis areas have changed a little bit. So for many of our alumni, you may remember, we used to have broadcasting emphasis and journalism and public relations and advertising. So we've changed our emphasis areas just a little bit to try to make them a little more modern and try to attract students. We've still got our core requirements for communication, which some of these classes you probably see on there and you're like, oh yeah, I remember taking those.
Hey, Troy.
Yeah.
We can just see the faculty still.
Oh, sorry. So let me stop sharing and put that back up then. Thank you for letting me know that. There we go. Okay, how's that? So the core requirements that all communication majors take are still, we've still got the introduction to comm careers, introduction to mass communication, all those that you're used to. But something that's interesting, I guess, in terms of our emphasis areas is we no longer have public relations or advertising. So now we're doing human communication, which has been a great addition to our department. We've got quite a few students now. I think it's the second largest emphasis area behind strategic communication. There's a lot of students that really want this human communication emphasis area. So we've got classes in gender and interpersonal and intercultural, things like that. We still have our multimedia journalism. It used to be journalism, now it's called multimedia journalism. And they've got classes under there that they take as well, that they're required to take. Our media production, so we used to be called broadcasting, and so now we've gone into media production, and so you can see the coursework that is required there. And then, like I said, instead of advertising and public relations, we now have strategic communication. So we've kind of lumped those all together, and that's actually our largest emphasis area. We've kind of split off. Broadcasting used to be second, but we've got some students that were in broadcasting that are now going to multimedia journalism, and then some of them are going to media production. So we've kind of split those students off a little bit. And then, of course, we still have theater as well. So I wanted to show you just kind of our emphasis area and kind of how we're changing there. And I think that's been a benefit. It's really been able to draw more students in whenever they see multimedia journalism and media production. And so we think that that's benefited. It has been a benefit to the department, sorry, as well. So another change, obviously, here recently is COVID. So I'm sure everybody's heard about that thing. And I think Dr. Allen did this on purpose to both Dr. Westhoff and myself, because she left at probably the right time. Because we've had to figure out how to deal with COVID, and there's been a lot of changes here at the university. The first change was when we got to our classes in the fall. I had a research procedures class that had 29 students in it, and I was in a classroom that would seat about 32. Well, because of what we call COVID capacity at the university, we have to social distance people. So I can't have 29 students in a classroom that only seats 32. So we had to very quickly try to find different classrooms. We've changed the way that we've been teaching, but I'm proud to say that most of our classes in the communication department remained face-to-face. That was something that we found our students wanted. A lot of universities are going to online courses, or they're going to what's called high flex, which means half online, half face-to-face. We've been able to try to find the classrooms, and there was still some classrooms like for my research procedures class, the classroom still wasn't big enough. So I had to actually split them in half. And so we're meeting half of them on one day, half of them on another day. And then we still have some online material. But for the most part, we were able to get the courses still being face-to-face. And that's something I think our students really enjoyed. And they like that face-to-face interaction with our faculty. And we've got great faculty. So why not see Kristen Livingston every day? And why not see Alicia Mason every day and things like that? So it's, it was great for the department to continue to do that. But some things with COVID did change us. So for example, this summer, whenever the freshmen came in to enroll, it was all virtual. So we couldn't actually go over to the student center and grab our students and bring them over to the comm department like we usually did and do that introduction in the conference room of our department. So one thing that, it was actually myself and one of our alumni, Jacob and Selmy. Everybody who knows me knows that Jacob and I are pretty close friends. But we got some of our media production students together, and we actually created a video, and I wanted to show that video. Many of you may have already have seen this before, but this was a video that actually went out to our students. There you go. When they came in. We wanted to introduce the department, we wanted to introduce ourselves is what we were trying to do. So they enrolled, we met with them through Zoom, but they also got to see this video.
Hi, I'm Annika McMullen, graduate student in the Department of Communication. Let's talk about our department. I had no idea what I was getting into when I decided to be a communication major. I not only found a second home, but some of the best friends I'll ever have, with both students and faculty. I was challenged in ways I never thought possible and was given the opportunity to grow as a person and as an intellectual. If you told me when I entered Pittsburg State as a freshman that I would not only obtain my bachelor's, but my master's in 4 total years, I wouldn't have believed you. The communication department at Pittsburg State works hard to make sure your dreams are possible and the possibilities are endless. Besides your friends and fellow students, perhaps the people you will spend the most amount of time with are your faculty. In the communication department, you will find caring faculty that will work so you can succeed regardless of what your emphasis is. Our faculty work hard to teach you the skills that you will need when entering the job force. Be prepared to be challenged, but also be prepared to find collegial faculty who are not afraid to brag about the success our alumni have found. You'll likely hear stories of Pittsburg State students leading groups of people on Broadway, in a studio at ESPN, or using public relations skills to stir up community support for a brand new NFL team in Las Vegas. The faculty have a proven track record to get you where you want to go. Speaking of where you want to go, the department has a variety of emphasis areas that help you find your true passion and love for communication. Our award-winning programs include communication education, human communication, media production, multimedia journalism, strategic communication, and theater. You will find that our university's motto of "By Doing, Learn" is on display within all of these emphasis areas. Every day you will find our theater students hard at work creating their next big show, our strategic communication students working with local business partners on advertising or public relations campaigns, and our media students working on their next award-winning productions. Be prepared to stay busy getting the experience needed to land that first job. Staying involved is the key to success for communication majors, and I want to invite you to do as much as you can. Get involved on Saturdays running our high-definition video board during football games, walk into the state-of-the-art Bicknell Performing Arts Center knowing that you can work behind the scenes doing stage setup, lighting, or costume design. Or find your home working on journalism stories for the university's newspaper, The Collegio, or the university's television cable network, CAPS 13. Take advantage of your time here at Pittsburg State. The whole university is here to help you, whether it's faculty or staff. All you have to do is communicate. The beautiful part about Pittsburg State is that you aren't just another student. The faculty and staff take the time to get to know their students and truly care about their success. The communication department exemplifies this culture flawlessly.
So that was just a video we wanted to be able to show our freshmen, and it really got a lot of good response from people throughout the university. So we've actually put that on our website now, and we've tried to send that out to potential students as well, just to let them know who we are and what they can do here. Another way that we've been trying to promote ourselves, because that's the big thing I think with COVID, is a lot of students, especially seniors, they just don't feel like they're as involved as much. And the freshmen that come in, it's just a different atmosphere. It's just a different college experience, and the seniors aren't being recruited quite as well. So another thing that we've done just here recently is we've been involved with the School of Technology. And I'll show this here. The College of Technology, I should say. So the College of Technology was doing an open house. I better. So the College of Technology, they usually do an open house where they come in and high school students will actually tour the Kansas Technology Center, and they'll take a look at all the programs that they have. Well, we've worked with, as many of you know, our department works a lot with other colleges, other departments, obviously with athletics, with our sports broadcasting stuff. But the College of Technology, we started working with quite a bit through their Baja event. So we will live stream their Baja event, which is, if you don't know what Baja is, I call it souped up go-karts. But the Technology Center students will actually make these vehicles, and then they go out and they compete, and we would live stream that for them. So because of that relationship, they asked me, they said, do you want to be involved with our open house? And so we were able to reach over 500 high school students just being on their open house page. So this was their first page. They have some activities that they have to do where they learn about the College of Technology. But on the activity 2 page, you can kind of see we're right there. So I don't know, I can't, there we go. So we're right there under communication. So the students under their activity 2 were supposed to investigate some programs. So in front of 500 high school students, they were able to click on this page and they could see our video that I just showed you. They can see a story about one of our students that just graduated. Something that Megan's going to talk about here in just a little bit is how our theater and multimedia students collaborated this year because of COVID. We had a story on that. And then we also recognized the sports broadcasting stuff because of the MIAA basketball tournament, because we figured that might be a draw to get students in as well. So that's one way that we've been promoting stuff. And then, of course, you know, one of the things that they've told me before is that we need to brag on ourselves more. So we've been working on that a little bit. So I don't know if you saw today, the big press release that came out here. So this was today. We finally, I was pretty proud of this. And so we made sure that we got it out as quick as we could. We've ended up getting first place at the National CBI Awards for Best Live Sports Broadcast. And I was extremely excited because we've finished in the top 4 before nationally, but we've never won the award. So we finally finished first. We beat Ithaca College out of New York. That university is about 30,000, I think, a semester. So they've got really nice equipment. So I was pretty proud of what we did there. Some of the students that are still here, Shelby's still here as a graduate student. He's featured there. This was actually Caleb whenever Pittsburg State played Northwest at Arrowhead. So he got the opportunity to go out and shoot on the field at Arrowhead. So Caleb with now, he's my student producer now. This was the best, you know how college students are. If you guys remember, this is the best picture he could come up with. But this is Tyler. It looks like he's at a frat party to me, but, and he probably was. But Tyler was the play-by-play voice on that production. So he's interviewed. And then Vanessa was our director as well. So we've been trying to get stuff out, and hopefully you'll see that. It's on the webpage today. It just came out. So if you want to check that out, please do. So that's another thing that we've been trying to work on, especially during COVID. And now I wanted to transition kind of into Megan. And one of the reasons I wanted Megan to come in and talk with me was the fact that because of COVID, we've kind of had to change our theater program a little bit in terms of how they presented their plays and their productions. So I wanted Megan just to kind of talk about that and maybe how, you know, we've changed ourselves because we actually in media production got to do some work with theater, which is something that we'd never really done.
Awesome. It's so great to see so many familiar faces tonight. So I think one of the things that we've always been proud of in this department is how we work with other emphasis areas. And I think COVID kind of brought a lot of, I think, struggles for some of us, because I think in the summer we thought, are we going to be able to come back since we are such an applied, hands-on field and we like to have conversations and talk and actually communicate. I think that was something that we were really kind of concerned about. And once we got the go-ahead that we could come back, I think we were trying to figure out how to do everything as safely as possible. And as communication alumni, you know that communication people like to congregate and hang out and have a good time. And so that was something that we had to keep in mind and take into consideration as we kind of went forward. And how were we going to have a theater season when All of the performances at the Bicknell were being canceled because of COVID concerns, and also, like Troy talked about, the COVID capacity. And the Miller Theater, which we perform in, is a 250 seat theater, but based on COVID capacity, we could have under 50. And then our concern was our audiences. How do we keep them safe? And we were concerned that we couldn't keep our students safe and our audiences safe. So we went with the choice of going with virtual productions this semester. And unfortunately, because of the COVID numbers, we're going to have to continue that next semester. So all the things we've learned, all the challenges we've had, we've looked at them as learning opportunities, because one of the things that this challenge has brought us is, how do we as a theater area work with media production? And so we've always kind of dovetailed into each of the areas of emphasis, different areas, which has been important, but now it's been even more so than ever before. So Troy and I talked at the beginning, and I said, okay, so I know nothing about media production, and coming into this blind, all of the theater faculty have learned so much about production and how timing and all of the things that we never really understood from our perspective of doing live performances has really kind of opened our eyes. And one of the cool opportunities for our students, in both areas, is that we actually really get to work very closely with one another. So when we, in March, we had finished our last theater production 2 weeks before the university had transitioned to online delivery of classes. So our last performance for the season was canceled, and originally we had postponed it until August, but August, of course, brought some challenges. And we wanted our students to be able to finalize that performance and not just say, oh, well, COVID canceled it, because that was something that we were hearing from a lot of incoming freshmen, and they were disappointed that they may not be able to perform. So that was something that was at the kind of forefront of our choosing of how we could do it safely and do it responsibly. And just because we were given the go ahead to do it, how do we actually do it responsibly? So because we didn't want to be the people who are bringing COVID to campus, neither theater or media production. So with all these restrictions based on the county and based on PSU, our plans kind of kept changing. But we've learned a lot. We've had some challenges. And as Troy and I have discussed about it, sometimes, when you're a freshman, sophomore, even a senior, when these things are kind of being thrown at you and you have to be adaptable and flexible in a quick manner, we're learning as they go. So it's been an interesting opportunity. So our first production was the Bacchae. It's a Greek Euripides play. And one of the things that we had to focus on was, we're used to working very closely together, shoulder to shoulder. And oftentimes in theater, it's not uncommon that we get sick because germs are spread very quickly. So we had to work on, how do we do a lot of these projects in a more solo fashion, where you're not shoulder to shoulder with one another. And it gave the students a lot of opportunities to do things that they hadn't done before. So of course, we were wearing masks on campus and having to spread out and to physically distance from one another. So we had a lot of times where students were coming in at different points and not all together at one point. And in some ways that's been a challenge, because theater people like to hang out just like comm students like to hang out. So it's been an interesting challenge that we're trying to overcome. And also at the same time, as Troy said, trying to engage new students and new freshmen who've gone through all these changes with COVID, and how do we kind of prepare them for the future and prepare them for a field right now in theater that's really not happening as much. And it'll probably be one of the last industries that goes back full force. We've seen TV and film go back, but theater is going to be one of the last. But there's changes on the horizon, and I think it's pushing us in new and great places, because now we can really engage audiences all around the world, just like we're doing tonight, talking to all of you all around the world. So what we decided to do with the Bacchae, this was not the original production that we were going to do, but because we were really concerned about how do we physically distance actors, what we did was a staged reading. So each actor was in their own little box, so to speak. There was not a lot of movement. They had scripts in hands, and we were hoping that we could perform without masks, but at the last second, because of COVID numbers, we were concerned, because we had not only our actors and our technicians, but our media production students coming in, and we wanted everybody to be safe. So we did a lot of things like temperature checks and making sure if people were sick. We had many people out in the coming weeks before the Bacchae performed at the end of October, and we were nervous, and it was not something that we had anticipated, like how do we handle that? So it's kind of like learning on the fly as you're going. And then the next production, which is going to end our season for 2020, is the one that was postponed from April. So this was Dr. Cynthia Allen's final performance with the Advanced Performance Ensemble. And this was an improvisational show that they had planned to do at the end of April. They lost a lot of rehearsal time. They tried to rehearse over the summer through Zoom, which of course is not exactly the same. So this is about life when we think we're doing well, and then life hits us kind of flat in the face and we realize everything doesn't always go our way. So this is something that was devised by Dr. Allen with the students, and it was actually recorded live a few weeks ago, and one of our graduate students, Zane Hull, is editing it. So we're actually doing two different types of virtual productions this semester. So the Bacchae was live to tape basically, and it was turned around in 24 hours, and the Windshield and the Bug is going to be edited because they filmed it more like a film where it was out of order and taking the best scenes, which is interesting with an improvisational show, how to do that. At this point, we were able to really focus on how to physically distance the actors so they were not in close contact with one another, but be able to still maintain that kind of live feel for performance. We have some music that was written specifically for this production. And so we got to deal with some of these challenges. And like I said, unfortunately, we wanted to be able to have a live audience in the spring, but with everything that continues to happen, we're making the best of it and continuing with our virtual productions, although we're still kind of trying to figure out some ways to incorporate audiences. So that's kind of a sneak peek for later, and hopefully that will work out. So December the 3rd through the 6th, you can purchase a ticket to see your virtual production of The Windshield and the Bug. And you can see exactly what we've been doing this semester and what we've learned and what we're learning in the process. And it's a really cool thing to be able to not only learn with the students at the same time as they're kind of navigating this new world. And it's something that we've been excited to work with the media production students and kind of learn the different aspects of the communication field that would never have really presented it other than during COVID. So, thank you.
Awesome, yeah. And the media production students are learning a lot because many of them have never really been exposed to theater. And so they're learning, about the rehearsals and what has to happen and things like that, which is really interesting on the media production side of it as well. And just so many of you on the page I know had taken, like sports broadcasting, for instance. That was a total change this year because at first there was no sports. So we had nothing to really do in that class. So we went back to book work and we went back to theory and we started talking about if we had cameras, this is what we would do. Well, then they decided to have a sports schedule, and it threw me for a loop because I was not ready to do a game. And all of a sudden they said, yeah, we're going to do a football game. And I said, oh, that's okay. That's good because these kids will finally get exposed to it. And there's already enough stress to try to run the video board and try to, entertain the fans and things like that. But for a group that really had never done it and didn't, wasn't prepared to do it, I guess I didn't even put it on the syllabus that we were going to do games because the games were canceled. Well, then, so it was a little bit stressful for me, but then they came to me again and said, Troy, it looks like KSN's wanting to pick up this game. So the NBC affiliate in Joplin is going to actually air this game live. So I had to tell my students who had never done a production that their production was going to be seen throughout the 4-state area. So if you guys remember when you were a student, what that would be like, they were pretty excited. And for me, obviously our web streams go out worldwide. And so to me, I'm like, okay, well, we go out worldwide. Television, more people are going to see us because they're just flipping channels and they see us on KSN. So it's not that big of a deal to me, but sometimes you forget what it meant to that student. And for all of you alumni, if you can remember what it was like, the first time you did a theater production, or the first time that you got your article in the Collegio, or the first time, that you did a media event or media production. The guy who ran camera one, the student who ran camera one, he told me later, he goes, Troy, he said, I hope I did okay. He said, I was so nervous. I slept 2 hours the night before because I knew that this was going to be a production that a lot of people were going to see. And so I just, sometimes we forget that excitement of what it's like to be a student. And I just thought that was pretty cool that he was so nervous. And he kept, after we set up the camera, he kept having to go down to go to the bathroom. And so our producer is like, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "I'm just really nervous." So that's kind of interesting. But we're still serving the students. We're still trying to give the students the best opportunities that we can to succeed in this world, and to give them that media production and the theater and strategic communication still going strong. So we're still doing everything that we can do, even though, COVID is out there, and we've got to be careful and we've got to protect our students while we do all this stuff. So it's created some interesting challenges, but I wanted to, we've got such a diverse group here, and I looked at the list and I was like, oh my gosh, I know most of you, and this is going to be a crazy group because I'm so sure you guys are going to want to ask some questions to us. So I wanted to make sure I left plenty of time. Some of the questions though, and Megan, you might touch on this first, that came in early, was what future surprises do we have coming from theater? So do you have anything for that?
I think it's just trying to figure out how to bring audiences back and bring them back safely, because what we've seen is that we've had a lot of students go into isolation because of COVID positive testing, and also quarantining because of close exposure. Our theater stage direction seniors are doing their scenes this week, their final performances. And just last week, we had another person who had to quarantine. And so it's made us think, okay, well, we're not really prepared for understudies because we always have jobs for everybody. There's always plenty of things to do. And I think we're trying to figure out in the spring, even though we are limited by the amount of people we can bring into a space and do it safely, just because we can doesn't mean we should do it. We're trying to figure out if we can do some outdoor performances. And so I think just kind of continuing to go with the flow, and also being able to work with such a variety of our students who are really excited and eager to try things. And like Troy said, are so nervous because they want to get it right and want to make it perfect for everybody, that it's just exciting to see their enthusiasm when sometimes we get bogged down and, oh my gosh, this isn't normal. This isn't our normal life. And I'm sure the students are tired of us hearing, well, this is not how we normally do things. And being willing to be flexible and adaptable, because really, I think all of you, no matter what field you've gone into, is a requirement just of life. So it's exciting that we can do those things. So new things, theater faculty are meeting every week trying to figure out how to navigate this new world. So we're kind of excited at the same time as being a little nervous.
Yeah, and Megan, just in case you saw everybody started laughing there while you were talking, Greg said he remembers his first time he misspelled his name or something on some artwork that he did. So
that first time when you realize, oh my goodness.
That is a perfectly accurate description of what I wrote, Troy. That's
yeah. So another question, this came from Tom Watts, and he wanted to know, imagine this, what our current students' perceptions of radio is like. And that's, things have changed obviously in the media production world. And it used to be when I started teaching here, pretty much I was training students to go work at KOAM or KSN or KODE or KKOW or My Town Media or Zimmer Radio Group. So things have definitely changed because the jobs have kind of dried up a little bit in those areas. There are fewer and fewer radio positions and television positions. So our students are asking for classes like podcasting to try to figure out how to do their own stuff, through the internet. So we've now introduced a podcasting course that we actually have, and the enrollment in that is crazy. The first time, it was actually Trent Kling, if you remember Trent, who offered it for the first time, and then Barth Cox has continued that class. And when he suggested that course, we were like, oh, I don't know how many people are going to take it, and it was an overwhelming success. And then we've got a lot of students are wanting to know how to do stuff on their YouTube channels. How can I do my own YouTube channel? How can I make a living doing this type of stuff? So it's definitely different perception, I think, than what it was when I came in. Obviously, things have changed, and one of the reasons, you know, is from my perspective, Tom, just honestly, is the pay. I mean, there's just a lot of students that are now telling me, you know, I can make more working at McDonald's than I could at KOAM, which probably used to be the case even when we were in school. but they seem to care more about that now, whereas we loved the business and wanted to go into it. So there's a lot of that we're dealing with as well. And then Tom, since you asked that question, I'm going to pose a question to you that somebody asked, and this was, they want to know, what suggestions do I have now getting my foot in the door? And my suggestion is always meet people, network, talk, go in person, because a lot of people, a lot of students anymore, they don't like to talk on the phone even. So, and I can't hardly ever get them to go into a door anymore to talk to somebody face to face. So I try to encourage them, go see people face to face. And Tom, I don't know if you're hiring people out there at Zimmer, so maybe do you have any suggestions for people as well? And you'll have to unmute. Tom, you're gonna have to unmute. This is the radio guy. And now his audio's still not working. I'm sorry. We still don't have it. You might check your mic. On the mic. I don't know if you can get it or not. Okay, we'll come back to Tom later. Tom Watts. We'll be coming back to him later on that live remote. Technical difficulties like we are in radio. So
I think what Don said, soft skills are number one thing that employers are looking for. I think that's absolutely how to be able to talk to people. And I think that's what scares a lot of students coming in when we have difficult conversations in classes, and they're like, oh my gosh, we're actually talking about these things, rather than we're gonna, keyboard ninja these thoughts out onto the internet without really thinking about what's the consequences of the actions and how to work with people. Seems obvious to all of us, but can be kind of overwhelming sometimes.
I'm a career counselor, and having done it now for several years, working with people is just amazing. I always talk about my last days in college and how, writing a resume, there'd never been anybody that sat me down and said, okay, Don, this is how you write a resume. I was actually going around and asking all my English major people that I knew, do you guys have something in a textbook that can tell me how to write a resume? Because I needed to write one for the job I was applying for. So yeah, the soft skills thing, and it doesn't matter what kinds of people that I'm working with. I work with people in the military, and before I'd been working with youth, and everybody's the same, just on realizing that difference between hard skills and soft skills. And it's so important.
And Dawn, you were probably here before we had communication careers class, weren't you? Did you?
Yes.
Yeah, we've added a communication careers class at the end, and that really helps the students, I think, with resume building and putting their resume together. I used to, before we had communication careers even, I would send them to the career service office, here on campus, and have them help with resume writing. Because I think you're right. That was confusing to me as a student, even when I graduated. How do I make a resume? So.
Right.
Yeah, I think, Don, we were in the same class. We made our resume as we were leaving.
Yeah.
As we were graduating. That was like the last thing that we did, was we made our resume. So it's much more embedded in earlier, I think, in the curriculum.
I was looking through this. I don't know if do we have another question written down or anything? I think I answered.
Maybe publication update.
Oh, publication update. Yep. So Josh Lettner is the advisor for the Collegio and the Kansas. We still feel Josh actually used to teach in our department for a little while. He was teaching advertising and public relations courses as well here. So we have a very good relationship still with the Collegio and Kansas. We send a lot of our students, especially the multimedia journalism students, to Josh. One of the things that we could never get going. We hear you now, Tom. I hear you.
Okay, just checking. Sorry.
We'll come back to you in a second. Tom Watts out there. So, but one of the things that I've always wanted to do was have some sort of multimedia site. Like, I saw this at Fort Hays. Fort Hays has the Fort Hays Media Network, is what they call it. And they have their newspaper and their television station and everything kind of blended into one. And we've just never, I don't know if it's because of the distance. We had some relationships with the Collegio where we could, we would send them some of our news stories. They would put it on their website. They would come down and talk on our broadcast programs. But we've never been able to really build that guerrilla media network like I could kind of envision. So that's still out there, in the thinking world. It would be something that would be nice, I think, to kind of mold all of this media together whenever we talk about multimedia. So now we'll go live to Tom Watts. Tom, do you have any suggestions for these students?
Well, and actually just did a Zoom hiring, the Fall Career Expo, and did Zoom meetings with a lot of great students. I learned about the new human communication degree, which blew my mind. I was like, okay, I missed that. What is this? So I had a couple of students from that department interview, but meeting face to face, for me, on the hiring end, I don't want to hire somebody sight unseen. I want to talk to them. I want to see what they're like, in person. And again, being in the communication business, how do they communicate? Are they shy and passive? Because that's not going to work for what we're doing. Now we have other departments where that might work. Maybe they're just in production. They're behind the scenes. That's great. But if you're going to be on and broadcasting, you've got to be there. You've got to be animated. And one of the questions, and Megan, you'll appreciate this, one of the questions I always ask, do you have any experience in theater? And I will look harder at students who've taken a theater course simply because they know how to, on their worst day, put on the face and come out and do a good job and, perform. And then once they're done, you can go back and you can, live in your reality, but we need you to be there, as, an informer and an entertainer. Even our news people, that's something we want to, can you deliver a line? That's something we need to know. But I would encourage all the students to, again, get face to face. Don't ever make an appointment and then bail, without a reason, because people talk. Even though I compete against American Media Investments now, and I compete against My Town Media. And, I've got friends who are, with some of the big companies. And if you go there and they say, oh, they went to PSU, have you ever talked to this person? And I'll say, yeah, they bailed on an interview, so take that for what it's worth. But we talk in the business because radio as a whole, radio's gotten smaller, broadcasting's gotten smaller with so much consolidation and things. And now you've got the big companies that are jettisoning employees. iHeart has been cutting people left and right all week, and I've seen a lot of people I know be cut. But so you're going to need to look at the smaller groups to get your foot in the door with broadcasting now in a lot of ways. So, and we all talk. We're old.
That's true. I have no problem talking to people, and so I don't understand sometimes when a student says, I don't want to go talk to them. And I'm like, it'll be okay. They won't bite your head off. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then the last question was from Ryan Bartlett, who, some of you know Ryan here, but he's not on here. He didn't even show up. But it was, Dr. Comeau, who is your favorite student of all time? And so to answer that question, I want to say it was Stacy Horner, Shelby White, Ray Garrett, Mary Meyer, Marcella Salazar. I'm just gonna say all of everybody. Everybody on here.
Everyone but Ryan.
Yeah, everybody but Ryan. I wasn't gonna put Ryan on there.
We'll make sure to show him this part of the video so he can hear that.
Has any other questions come through, or do you guys have questions that you just want to shout out to us?
I just got one real quick. It's better for me to actually ask it out. Is campus available for visits, or is it still kind of no one really allowed on campus kind of deal?
Yeah, we're still open. The admissions office still allows, still brings people in. The masks are required. So on campus, you have to be masked up at all times and maintain social distances and stuff like that. But I'm still having seniors come in for tours, and I'm sitting down and talking to them. And that's a good thing, I think, for Pittsburg State, because I just talked with a student on Thursday that's really interested in our program, and he said he was looking at, I think it was Fort Hayes and KU, and he said, honestly, you're number one now, because at the other schools, I didn't get to talk to a professor. They said they just kind of took me a tour around campus and I was done. And I think it's because a lot of professors at other schools are teaching online and they're not coming in. And so that's something I think I'm happy that we're doing that in our department, that we're still face to face.
Hey, Troy, this is Chris. Sorry, dad life at basketball practice. So I'm listening, but not watching. My question has to do with, as I remember back in my day, almost 20 years ago, we had such an infinite amount of scholarship money. Where does the communications department sit when it comes to scholarship money, and how can we help that? Maybe not right now, but here in the near future.
Yeah, it's one of the things that, I'm brand new as the program coordinator, and I don't know what that means, because we used to have a chair of the department, and because of COVID, I think they were a little worried about that. So they've named me program coordinator. So I've kind of got this leadership role, but not ultra leadership role. So I'm kind of making some suggestions on the direction we head, but I still don't feel like I have that power yet. But for sure, we need to do something about scholarships. We've got students coming in, and I was telling the faculty this the other day. I had a mom, after our tour, she sat me down and she said, okay, let's talk money. And I was like, I've never had that happen before, where a parent just sits me down after the tour and says, let's talk money. How much are you going to offer my son? Because I know he's good. And in our department, we still don't have the funds that we probably need to be out there recruiting freshmen or anything. But we have slowly made headway. We have added a faculty select scholarship. So our faculty are putting their money where their mouth is. And we actually have money taken out of our paycheck, and it actually goes into a faculty select scholarship. Now those scholarships are generally around $700 to $1,000 a year. So whenever you think about that a semester, you're looking at like $350 to $500 a semester. And when I told the mother that, she was like, that'll buy him a couple books. So it's just like, well, that's what we have. So
well, it's good to see those numbers haven't changed in the last 20 years then.
They've gone, yeah, the numbers have gone up actually a little bit, because we used to give out scholarships for about $500. So we pretty much doubled the amount that we're giving out. And we have brought in some from our alumni as well. I mean, it's not like we have increased. We've definitely increased our scholarships, but we're still not where I want to be. Let's put it that way. We just had a big gift from a former alumni who I didn't even know from way back I think he graduated way back, like in the 60s or 70s or something. And he unfortunately passed away and left some money for a new scholarship for our media production students. So we've got some new scholarship money coming in there. And then our Cool Calm Collected, I don't know if you've seen that, but we've been selling our shirts, that say Cool Calm Collected on them. And so a lot of our students and alumni will buy those, and that actually funds a scholarship every year too. So I don't want to say it's the same, Chris, because it's not. I mean, we've definitely increased our money of coming in, but it's just not where I would want it to be, to where I can, feel like I can recruit a freshman. I feel like I need to be rewarding my juniors and seniors with scholarships, and we're still not there where we can, give enough money.
Troy, if we want to buy one of those shirts, are they on your website, or how do we go about doing that?
They were, but unfortunately we ended the campaign because we had to get them in before Christmas. So you'll have to check that. The Facebook, probably the Facebook page is the best place to look because we really hit that Facebook page hard on our department Facebook page. I think we were putting it up there every 2 or 3 days trying to get people to buy the shirts. And yeah, we ended the campaign so that way they could be in by Christmas so people could buy them. Yeah.
But we will be doing it again next year.
Yes, we've been doing it every year. It's been real popular. And we've actually been increasing the amount of scholarship money that we can give out through that because it's become a lot more popular than what it was when we started.
We raised $820 this year. So over the last 4 years, we've raised over $3,000 that goes to the Comeau Collected Scholarship, which is a student that we feel is kind of exemplifies the department as a whole. So just know that that money is going to help future students who are going to hopefully be good communicators in the world.
Any other questions from anyone?
Yeah, I got one. Sorry. Is somebody else going to talk?
Go for it.
Because I feel like I've been like chatting it up in the chat. I had a question about the rebranding. Well, I guess I don't know. Is it rebranding? It used to be PR, and now it's what, human communication.
No, and I think I said that wrong because I started to say we no longer have PR and ad. And then I was going to talk about strategic communication, but I talked about human comm first.
That's what I meant. Yes, thank you. So it's just rebranding, and PR. The PR program isn't in another department now, right? We've just rebranded.
Yeah. Yeah, we've just it was a way for us to kind of combine public relations and advertising because we didn't have very many advertising students, but we had a lot of public relations students. So we said this is a way to bring them all together, and now we can have strategic communication. And
strategic communication sounds really sexy.
Yeah.
On a resume.
That's what we're about, is sexy in our department. You know that.
That's why they got you here in your green shirt, Troy.
I told you it's because my mom likes this. This is why I took.
Once a lion, always a lion, man. Lucky David Weaver isn't here to see this.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, I've got a question. Two questions actually. So John and I were kind of talking back and forth in the chat about KRPS. That's where he and I had met. So what is the relationship? I know that they're, kind of off and on between the communication department and KRPS. Is there anything there now? And then also, I was part of the theater company when I was a student there. So is the theater company still going on? Because that was a scholarship opportunity that I had there by being a member of the theater company. Is that still going on as well?
As far as the KRPS thing, we've always had trouble with our relationship with KRPS because they want to function as a professional station, and they're really concerned about their image and looking professional. So we still have internships through KRPS. So we have students that will go over and do internships. But as far as hiring our students or, there's, and they don't hire too many people over there, to be honest with you either. So there's still kind of a lack of the relationship there with KRPS, I would say. So.
Don, as far as the question as far as scholarship, yes, since theater is considered to be open to all students, it's not relegated to just communication students or just theater students. We actually give quite a few students scholarships who are within the communication department. So we have some who are strategic communication students and some who are multimedia journalism students who work with us and who just like earlier Tom was saying about getting theater experience, who see that as a really valuable skill. We give a lot of scholarships to not only our theater students. Theater is thankfully one of the areas that is well funded as far as scholarships. And the other thing is, since we receive student fee allocations from the university, that is something that we are open to all students regardless of experience or regardless of major. So that continues to this day. And we like to say we poach students. We're really good at poaching students. Once they get involved in theater, it's like, oh, maybe I need to be a theater emphasis in communication, or maybe I need to double major. So we like to pride ourselves that we kind of poach students. Once they get in and get the taste for theater, they don't really seem to leave, which we love.
Well, you poached me from the history department, so I have a.
We'll add another one to our list.
My bachelor's is in history, but I have a minor in communication. So
that's how we do it.
Success story.
I think echoing one of the questions that's in the chat, someone had asked how many total students are in the department, but I'm also wondering like how that breaks down across the programs. And I'm curious also about like job placement, like are certain areas succeeding more, you know, finding positions faster? How's that going?
Yeah, as far as the, unfortunately, you know, I wish I had good news to report the last 5 years, but it's been downhill, not only in our department, but university-wide, and then also just, you know, in the United States, the number of college students have actually dropped a little bit. We are at 192 communication students the last time I looked. I think we were around 250 about 10 years ago. So we're not down too much, but we would like to get that up. And that's why we're doing things like, you know, teaming up with the College of Technology to get in front of students' faces and trying to work on bragging about ourselves more in terms of what we're doing and what's happening in our department. As far as the emphasis areas go, strategic communication is still probably number one. The last time I checked, I think it was around 80 students in that emphasis area. And then human communication is now number two. It used to be broadcasting, like I said, until multimedia journalism and media production, there's kind of split that a little bit. So human communication, I think it had around 50 last time I looked, maybe a little less than that, might have been 45. And then our media production had about 40. And then multimedia journalism, I think around 30, somewhere there. I'll need to get those numbers to be exact. And I was going to do that before I came and I totally forgot about it. So, but that gives you an idea where we're at.
And I mean, shameless plug, as Andrew just said, we've doubled in size in theater emphasis to 20 emphasis, and like I said, many other who are other areas who are involved. And one of the reasons for that is because of the Bicknell Family Center for the Arts, and that has been a big boost in attracting and engaging students to get involved. And once they heard that we had a lot of different opportunities, and then working in the Bicknell too is another opportunity for students. When we have the Broadway tours and the different events from the music department, and art and theater has been something that is very attractive for students that we are very thankful for. And I think one of the things that we can really kind of test our skills with this semester with working with media production and doing our virtual productions is the use of this space and how we get to kind of figure it out as we go.
And then as far as where the students are finding jobs, we actually created a Where Are They Now page to give out to seniors when they come in, and the parents really like that because it shows where students are getting jobs out, what they're doing. And you know, it's a variety of places. Obviously communication is a big field. So we have obviously still students going out there working in public relations and advertising. A lot of my media production students are going corporate video. And we have a corporate video production class now as well. So that's a big draw. Like I said earlier, you know, used to it was training them to go to a TV station or a radio station. Now they want, you know, every business wants video, every business wants audio and things like that. So we're able to place a lot of students in the business world.
Yeah, I was wondering actually if there's a partnership with the business school, I guess, with Tel's and comms programs. And I say that as a person who basically would have been a strategic comms, you know, person, had the PR emphasis, and I work for a big company, and I think I wound up doing a master's degree in business, and like I feel like I needed that information and context to be able to speak the language that I use every day.
Yeah, right now probably the closest relationship, if you want to say it that way, is the minor. So typically, you know, every communication major is required to have a minor, and of course with the StratCom people, we always try to push them toward business or marketing, somewhere in that area. But yeah, no real formal relationship, I guess, with the business. Anything else? And if not, since Chris Mallory is on his phone and can't see, I just wanted to move out of the way so you all could see that right there.
Oh, I can see it.
Oh, no, sorry.
I got no problem with it. I'm still a fan. I'm just paid by somebody else.
I know, and somebody was asking me the other day, they go, boy, you really hate the Raiders being a Chiefs fan, don't you? And I said, no, I've got a former student who's working for the Raiders now, and now they're in my heart. So, oh, I hate it. You're not in my wife's heart, though, just so you know.
No, that's all right. One at a time.
Don't take any victory laps, any more victory laps around Arrowhead.
Fake news, right?
Anyone else? Any last minute questions?
I have a comment, Danielle.
Go for it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Stefanoni, and I graduated a long time ago. And now I'm back at Pitt State as the Director of Media Relations and the editor of Pitt State Alumni magazine. And I'd just like to encourage everyone, because I'm sure you all have some successes that you'd like to brag about, to send those to us. Yeah, there it is. Troy's holding it up. Send us your class notes to put in the back of the magazine in the alumni section if you've accomplished something you really want to brag about, had some kind of milestone achievement. Hopefully you're all getting that magazine, and there's a couple of instructions in the magazine about how to go about doing that.
This is how I know I'm getting old, because I actually read that magazine, and the first thing I look at is the class notes.
Yeah, and I was going to say the faculty love that, because we always love to see our communication students in the class notes.
Well, shout out to Danielle, because she's my right-hand person on that.
Thanks, Andrea. Yeah, yes, anytime you have anything, feel free to share it with us. We're happy to report it, especially for our communication grads. Any other questions or comments? No? Okay. Well, I just want to say that I might be a little partial, but this has been a pretty amazing group. Very great conversation and good energy back and forth. You know, typically we travel to see our alumni for these types of events, and we're unable to do that because of COVID. So this was kind of refreshing to have kind of some of that banter back and forth. A lot of our gatherings have been, you know, quiet, and we've had some questions and that type of thing, but I have good energy from tonight, so I appreciate that. And of course, it's because we're communication grads, so why would we expect anything else, right?
I think this is the quietest I've heard this group, Danielle. I've heard a lot of them talk a lot. So
I do have one more question. So in terms of alumni, so I'm in South Carolina right now. Are you guys thinking about expanding out into the coast? Like for me, Atlanta is like 2.5 hours, or Charlotte. Is there like any thoughts about hitting one of the major cities? Because I know the Midwest is hit pretty hard down in Kansas, Oklahoma, maybe in parts of Texas, and then a little bit to Missouri. But I think like having a Southeast or like a regional kind of thing would be nice. But not sure if it's doable, but it would be nice to see that Pitt State car in that.
Yes,
Atlanta.
that's right. I appreciate that. I can tell you're paying attention to things. That makes me feel appreciated. So, so you might have seen, you know, we have been doing some of these great guerrilla tours, you know, the last couple of years. And of course, we aren't able to do that right now. So we had planned to do a trip this summer, and I don't think we'll get to that. So I would say that maybe South Carolina, that more Southeast region, might be on the horizon for a couple years. They, let's see, in 2017 did kind of make a trip down there, and they made it to Atlanta and Florida and a few places, you know, in between there. So I'll keep you on our list, and we'll see if we can get down there. I know there are quite a few gorillas down in your neck of the woods. So we hope to get on the road again soon. We'll just have to see how this whole thing kind of pans out. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll let you know if we come, I promise.
And Danielle, I just had a question privately through the message board, I guess, that said, do you know where graduation will be live streamed? So that'll be at pittstate.tv. So if you just go to pittstate.tv, we've got, graduation is going to look a little different because we are shuffling them in as quick as we can and getting them out. But I'm so proud of Pittsburg State, because I just found out today that Kansas State University has canceled their graduation in December. So they're not going to have one. So we're actually going to have one, but it's going to be, there's not going to be as many speakers, which I don't know, some of you may like that, but they're going to go in, get their degree, shake the hand, and they'll be out. So, but we're still going to live stream that. And there's going to be different ceremonies. So the arts and sciences ceremony will be Friday at 7, I believe. Is that correct, Danielle? I think that's right. Anybody?
Oh gosh, you're really testing me here. Let me look here.
Friday night at 7. It'll be this Friday night. This Friday night at 7 o'clock is the ceremony. That's the ceremony for the May graduates. And then the ceremony for the fall graduates will be Saturday. I got that wrong.
Yeah. My ticket says Saturday.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't scare you.
You're right, Jeff. You're on
Sorry,
Saturday. Friday's fall graduates.
Yeah. Okay. So Friday is fall graduate or spring graduates, right? No, fall graduates.
Fall graduates. Fall graduates on Friday.
All on Friday.
Fall on Friday, spring on Saturday. And I think the Saturday ceremony is, there's one at 9 and one at 12. Andrea may have to help me with that one.
9, 10:30, and noon. So 9 a.m. the graduate students, and then 10:30 a.m. will be spring and summer graduates from arts and sciences and College of Business.
And Danielle, Troy, and I will volunteer ourselves to go on any guerrilla tours. We'll deliver in whatever you need.
We've heard this a lot, so we'll have to take some people up on this. So we do have a pretty good time in our, travels. So yeah, those have been a lot of fun. We Chris Mallory's on here, and we got to see him 2 summers ago when we went to Las Vegas. So we're trying. We'll get back on the road soon, I hope. So yeah. I just want to thank Troy and Megan for joining us, and everyone else. It's been a great time. Really, the moment you've all been waiting for now is prizes. So we'll do that, and we'll get them in the mail to you this week, here over the next couple of days. So it'll be a fun little package. So we'll start here with this cutting board. It's a very hot commodity. We do giveaways on social media for these, and people go crazy for it. So Kate Allred, you're the winner for that.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome. We have a coffee mug, and that will go to Dawn. Woo! We have these cool new throw blankets that have a big split face on them. We just got them in, and that will go to Lindsay Flores.
Oh, Lindsay, you got so lucky.
It's pretty cool, and they're very soft. So, and Stacy Horner we have a license plate frame for you. And let's see, Marcelo, we have a cup for you. Okay, Gannon, we have this cool cooler bag for you. Cool cooler bag. That was a mess. So there you go. Candy, we have a koozie.
Yay!
Let's see here. Oh, another koozie for Caleb Wood. And last but not least, we have a calendar, 2021 calendar with cool pictures from campus for Chelsea Evans. Yay! So like I said, we'll get those packaged and in the mail to you here pretty soon. We should have everyone's current information as long as you use that information when you registered. So if you gave us some random address, let us know and we'll make sure we get your price to you correctly. So again, I just want to say thanks again to Troy and Megan for joining us, and to everyone else for taking time out of your evening. This was a great gathering, and I appreciate all of you, and it's nice to see all of you. So we hope we'll be back on the road soon, and we'll be able to see some of you in person eating fried chicken and the whole shebang. So everyone have a great holiday season, and thanks again.
Thank you.